And, we raised money in a private placement in October. We're well funded for well beyond the initial 2,500-meter 14-hole program. But we're just doing this prudently where we'll do an initial test. C3 and geophysics will fund this 50-50, and we'll see what the results tell us and then go from there.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Dan Simons. He is the CEO of C3 Metals. And Dan, it's great to see you again. How are you?
I'm doing well, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so the company had some news about your super block project in Jamaica. So before we get to the news itself, which is good, tell me a little bit about this particular project. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, this is a project that we put together in a 50-50 joint venture with Geophysics Jamaica Limited. So the history in Jamaica for obviously mining being the second largest industry, it's all bauxite dominated. C3 Metals is really the first mover exploring for copper gold type deposits in Jamaica. And after we picked up our initial concession package, Geophysics, which is founded by Bobby Stewart of the Stewart family, which is a very well-known family in Jamaica. Bobby Stewart was the founder of Sandals throughout the Caribbean, the resort. So a real powerhouse name in the hospitality industry. Bobby started Geophysics Jamaica. He picked up a very large amount of mineral concessions. And in this particular area, what we found in the work that each party was doing, it looked like we each had half of a mineralized system. So in March of last year, we put it together in a 50-50 joint venture where we each contributed ground. We funded equally 50-50, and C3 is the operator of that.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this is for people not aware of it, there's other mining operations that are going on around your project as well, including a pretty big name in Barrick.
Yeah, so a couple months after we did the deal with Geophysics, Geophysics then did a deal with Barrick. So Barrick is earning into up to 80% on ground that's all around our concessions here in Jamaica. And, I think it doesn't surprise us. We've been saying for a long time, geologic setting is very similar throughout the Caribbean and very similar to what you see at the Pueblo Viejo mine in the Dominican Republic that Barrick operates, which is a world-class deposit there as well. So it wasn't a surprise to see Barrick coming in with the technical skill set that they've developed through Pueblo Viejo.
Okay, so let's talk about Superblock. As I mentioned, you had some news out, and that was significant gold results from soil and channel samplings. This is really the sort of the first pass of the project, right?
This really is. So by putting the ground together, what we were able to do, there was one modern day gold mine in Jamaica, and it was a very, very small operation run by a private company. It only ran for a couple of years, from 2002 to 2004, and produced about 16,000 ounces. But what caught our attention was the historical resource grade was 20 grams per ton, so very, very high grade. If you go there, there's a very shallow pit there. We believe that there's more potential below the pit as well as along strike of the pit. So what this program was designed to do after now we've put this ground together was really test it was a lot of surface work that we did in Q4 with soil sampling and channel sampling to understand the gold trend along here. And what we've ended up finding is we have over 5 kilometers and it's still open in both directions along trend. So we feel like we have an opportunity here for potential significant gold discovery.
Yeah, so that sets up an initial 2,500-meter drill program that you're planning. Going to be about 14 holes, and this is just to sort of test a number of different areas or along that strike that you talked about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So what we've done through the soil program is, for reference, anything above 0.04 grams per ton in soil is considered anomalous, and that would start to get our interest. We have areas now that have returned 60 meters of zero point 0.41, so over 900 times what you would think for a soil sample as anomalous, and it's very similar intensity of what we see over the past producing Penance mine, which was running 20 grams. So what we're doing is this initial program is going to test those areas where we've had the very, very high grade in soils. And, we raised money in a private placement in October. We're well funded for well beyond the initial 2,500-meter 14-hole program. But we're just doing this prudently where we'll do an initial test. C3 and Geophysics will fund this 50-50, and we'll see what the results tell us and then go from there.
Well, it sounds super exciting. I'm very interested in seeing what goes on. Last question, just on the Jamaica part of it. Are you able to work there year round or there? Is there a specific part of the year that you will concentrate work on mostly?
No, we can work there year round, and we have. The odd time you get some of the. There is a rainy season, so it can slow you down a little bit. But it's usually these storms come through and they pass in a couple hours, and you're blue sky again. So you see them coming. You know they're coming. You might batten down the hatches for a couple hours, but then you get right back to work.
There you go. Dan, thanks so much. Great to catch up with you, and really interested in seeing what happens during the drill program of this to see more about Superblock. So appreciate your time.
Thanks, Steve. Drill program kicking off before the end of March, so we should have some news here in the spring.
All right, we look forward to telling it. Dan Simons, the CEO of C3 Metals.